Dustin Poirier ended his career the exact way he fought it the entire time. Fighting the best there was to offer, no matter what. If you missed it, UFC 318, Dustin Poirier dropped his final fight to Max Holloway for the BMF title in New Orleans, Louisiana. Hung up the gloves, and that is a wrap for the career of Dustin Poirier, an absolute icon of the sport. Now, look, full disclaimer, guys. Full disclaimer, because I can't talk today. Full disclaimer, Dustin Poirier, I'm from Louisiana, so I'm incredibly biased, okay? But I'm going to try and be as even-handed as I can here. I don't care if I'm not supposed to be biased. Screw that. The career of Dustin Poirier was literally like, he took on the best. There was nobody that, like, what he did was, like, he just fought whoever there was to fight. Be it, like, the best, like, really, like, Khabib Nurmagomedov or Islam Makhachev or even, like, Conor McGregor. Like, he took the big fights, but he also took the fights he probably shouldn't have, like the first Justin Gaethje fight where it's like, oh, Dustin Poirier, you're probably getting a title shot next, you know, if you just hang out for a second. He's like, no, I'm going to fight Dustin Poirier. Wait, no, he's not going to be able to fight, no. Oh, I'm gonna fight Justin Gaethje. Or, you know, hey man, look, you're really good. There's this up and coming guy named Benoit Saint-Denis who looks incredibly dangerous. You should fight him. Okay, I'll fight him. And if Benoit wins, we're gonna give him a title shot, by the way. He's like, maybe I can get one. And he did. But yeah, the career of Dustin Poirier was just that. It was him just fighting the best. And retiring is never easy. And Dustin Poirier is 36 years old, which is an old man in this sport. And there are difficulties in retiring. And obviously there's like, oh, you know, I'm getting old, the whole midlife crisis thing. But there's also the community around retiring in your sport. So like when you get involved into a fighting sport, you develop a community really, really quick. Like people always like to take you under their wing. Hey, what's going on? My name's Brandon, or hey, my name's Blaine. Thank you for coming to the gym. I hope you enjoy it, right? So I think part of this retiring is, you know, Dustin Poirier is a member of a huge gym, American Top Team. You saw it on the way out. His teammates were all like, hey, you did great. You know, obviously him and Max Holloway get along. Daniel Cormier and Dustin Poirier get along. He has this giant community. And giant communities are hard to leave, especially when they're good. And Dustin Poirier has been at the top, and he has all of these friends. He's been around for 20 years, and you realize, like, he's not just stepping away from the community. Like, he's probably not going to be training as much. Obviously, I think Dustin Poirier will train for a very long time. Like, this is what he does. But, like, you think about it, he has to step away. And, all right, so book plug today. American Shaolin by Matthew Polly. This book is actually very good. And he kind of talks about this kind of a situation in American Shaolin. And Matthew Polly went to China to train in the Kung Fu tip. Now, we know Kung Fu is not really a real fighting sport, but this book here, he talks about, you know, learning, and he moves from Kansas all the way to Shaolin Temple in China, and this is what he talks about. I had come to China to learn Kung Fu, but what I hadn't did was expect it to become part of a community. When I first arrived, I was the foreigner, the outsider with strange habits and a terrible accent. But over time, that changed. I shared meals with the guys, laughed at their jokes, and I even, if I only understood half of them, and trained side by side through the blistering heat and freezing cold. These guys weren't just fellow students, they were my brothers. We bled together on the training floor, sweated in the same drills, and found joy in tiny victories, like landing the perfect punch or holding a horse stance for an extra 10 seconds. In the hardest moments, I wasn't alone. In the best moments, I felt like I belonged. This book, really good read, in the description. Go get it. And I think that's what really makes it the most difficult thing for Dustin Poirier. Step away from this giant community that he had. And it's not just the people that he fights with. It's the coaches that he has both in ACT in Florida and in Lafayette, Louisiana. Like, it's time, and he knows it, but he also is, like, leaving a lot behind. The fan base. Like, he'll always be remembered by the fans, but the moment he got last night and the Conor McGregor moment, the moment he fought Khabib and Islam, he'll never have those big of moments again. And I don't want to say the best days are behind him and be like sadistic and stuff, but like, without sounding disrespectful, Poirier's already peaked. He has. So, he got knocked down twice. And it really did look like it was going to be a disaster for Dustin Poirier. And I was just like, oh, man, Max looks good. But then Poirier cracks Max Holloway, knocks him down, and starts to land some brutal elbows. And from there, Dustin Poirier kind of clawed his way back into the fight. Now, I had it 4-1 Max. I don't think the fight was particularly close. Max Holloway did a good job. We're going to talk about what Max Holloway did in a second. But the last 10 seconds, Dustin Poirier had a unique thought. Like, hey, I could see them both like looking up at the clock. Like, yeah, this is like the last minute. And they're looking up at the clock trying to make sure they had enough time to do the whole point down thing that Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier has done. And, yeah, you can see them looking up wanting to do it. So they get there and they do it. And so Dustin Poirier and Max finally, 10 seconds, let's go. Poirier gets his high guard and then a big boom, like textbook right hook. Like he literally like timed it perfect where it's a perfect right hook, gets his whole body into it and tries to really blast through Max Holloway. Didn't work. Max Holloway was working the body and eventually Dustin had to clinch. He was like, oh man, that right hook was going to be a shot. He was trying to one-shot Max Holloway at the very end. But yeah, he clinched and that was a bad look. But in the end, Dustin Poirier, he was integral as a part of the best division the UFC's ever had. And if you think about what lightweight has been through the years, from the Eddie Alvarez, we'll talk about from the from the Rafael dos Anjos, Eddie Alvarez, then you had Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria. Like that run from 2015, 2016 on, it's been the best the division the UFC's ever had. There's never been a division deeper than lightweight this last decade. Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker, I said Oliveira already, Max Holloway now. You've got all of these guys that are like coming up and they're great. Beneil Dariush, Renato Moicano, Arman Tsarukyan now, Paddy Pimblett now. Lightweight's amazing, and it has been for a long time, and it's going to continue to be amazing, especially with this new blood of Ilia Topuria at the helm. Dustin Poirier, though, was arguably the most important part of that division. He was the glue that kind of held it together. Like, man, if you can get past Dustin, you're great. Or, if you can't, well, you're Dan Hooker. Banished to fighting main cards and being a good fighter, but, that's what Dustin Poirier represents. And it's going to be a sad time because he's gone. So long, Diamond. Dustin Poirier, you were truly one of the best ever. Now, Max Holloway, that's another story. What a performance from Max Holloway. He jumped out, looked much better than the first fight against Dustin Poirier. Now, the first fight, I went back and watched it leading up to this because, we're on crack and that's what we got to do. The first fight against him, I was like, okay, he's looking a little, he looks like a featherweight that didn't cut weight. But since, he decided, I'm going to fight Justin Gaethje, he got thicker, thick boy. No, Max Holloway's the opposite of thick boy. Scrawny legs, anyways. He looked much thicker. He looks much better built for this weight class. The first knockdown was sick, though. He slaps the guard of Dustin Poirier, and then a left. Can't remember if he was southpaw or orthodox that but the stance matchup does matter a lot. Max Holloway did a great job of really dealing with Dustin Poirier's southpaw advantage, his Philly shell high guard type thing that he does, the Poirier shift he dealt with well, and he neutralized a lot of that. You remember back to the second fight, he goes and tells his corner, like, he's blocking funny, I can't hit him, and that was really the X factor for Max Holloway here. And with Poirier bringing his arms high like he does and blocking with his elbow and stuff, it works for him because in MMA we don't really punch the body. You notice in this fight, Max Holloway punched the body a lot more. I think that that really did a service to Max Holloway to hit the body more, to where Dustin Poirier realized, hey, I've got to worry about the body shots, and I've also got to worry about up top. And that allowed Max Holloway to land up top more, right? So he landed up top more. He hurt Dustin Poirier 2 times in this fight. More than 2 times, really, but he knocked him down twice in this fight. Holloway's hitting harder, and he's being smarter. If you're not smarter, you got to be a farter. That makes sense. But another thing, like with Poirier being the southpaw, Max Holloway really did a good job of finding this outside foot advantage. So southpaw versus, or if you're not familiar, southpaw versus orthodox, the 2 lead feet are together. Instead of mirrored like this, you imagine somebody putting their right foot in a box extension, the left foot in a box extension together. And generally, whoever has their foot to the outside gets the better position to strike. We saw it this weekend with Alexander Usyk, able to slip to the outside and land rights up the middle. Paulo Costa, who we're going to talk about in a second here, Paulo Costa landed to the slipped to the outside and landed a cross up the middle to Roman Kopylov. And Max Holloway was able to do that and get to the body really well. He found the outside foot, and it hurt Dustin constantly. There was that one time he backed straight. It wasn't one time, but when he did back straight up, that's how Dustin managed to land and hurt Max Holloway, And his coaches, chewed him a new one. Like, you can't go back in a straight line, and we know this. Like, Israel Adesanya has this problem where he backs up in a straight line, and he's been getting turned off by, Nasruddin Imavov. So he managed to not do it most of the fight, and occasionally he did. But the real big thing from Max Holloway, I think, is kind of like the mode of attack that he did and he implemented first. It was kind of a, I'm going to kick the legs first because that's my longest weapon. Poirier's decent at checking leg kicks, but not the ones I'm going to throw. Oblique kicks to the legs, to the knee. I'm going to teep his thigh, really kind of impede him stepping in. And if he wants to step in and do that shift to where he goes from southpaw to orthodox and wings in a big right hand over the top, I'll be able to kick his leg and kind of slow him down on that. And he did. The open side body kick from Max Holloway too, kick in the body. So again, back to that southpaw orthodox matchup. The body is open for both fighters with the rear leg, and they can really fire in those things. Another thing Paulo Costa did well as well. So you know what? Come on. We've been talking about Paulo Costa so much, man. Let's talk about Paulo Costa. He defeated Roman Kopylov via unanimous decision in the co-main event. Now, Paulo Costa's been pretty garbage lately, if you want to know the truth. He hasn't fought well. He struggled where he shouldn't against fighters he shouldn't, but he's taken some good time off. He fought and lost to. I'm pulling up this run. Actually, hold on. Let's take a look at Paulo Costa's run real quick. I got it pulled up right here. Let's see. So the epic fight in 2019 with Yoel Romero, he looked invincible. Then he was knocked out by Israel Adesanya. Had the wild, weird fight with Marvin Vettori. That was in 21, so that was over a year later. 22 in August, nearly another year later, he beats Luke Rockhold. That was that fight. That was actually really cool, where Luke Rockhold had the bloody nose, was on top of Costa, was rubbing it on him and stuff, if you remember that. Then 24, so 2 years later, he fights and loses to Whitaker. Loses a split decision to Strickland, which was a weird one because that's that epic Sean Strickland screenshot of him like Sparta kicking after doing nothing for a whole fight. Takes another year off. Finally is booked to fight Roman Kopylov at 317. Doesn't get to. Rescheduled to this weekend, and he got the dub. This fight from Paulo Costa was one that was it showed us just how good he can be. The open side body kick. That's something he did great against Yoel Romero, who was a southpaw. Roman Kopylov is also a southpaw, so he had good success kicking the body. He knocked Kopylov down in round 1. We talked about it with Holloway, but Costa did it much better and perfect, right? He's trying to draw out the jab of Roman Kopylov, and once Kopylov does fire the southpaw jab, Paulo Costa slips to the outside of the jab and boom, right up the middle with a right cross. And that knocked him down in round 1 and even more so in round 2. Now, I don't know if Costa is a serious fighter. He still has talent, though. he still has talent. He does some cool things. The open side body kick, he kicks the leg. His cardio is much better than what it used to be. We're a long ways away from that fight where he's exhausted against Yoel Romero and he's just blitzing people out of there in one round in Jungle Fight and his UFC debuts, or where they set up a legal execution against Johnny Hendricks. This Paulo Costa here, the push kicks, the jabs look good. I truly believe this Paulo Costa could make another run at the title. He is currently 34 years old though, but this is welterweight, so we can give him a little bit of credit there. Really good return to form from Paulo Costa. Oh, another good thing he did, cool. He shot one takedown in this fight, and it really wasn't a takedown attempt. So he shoots the takedown, kind of gets in on the legs. Kopylov starts to defend, and Costa says, okay, I'm good. Then he shoots again, and what does Kopylov do? He throws his head down to sprawl, and Costa just stands up, grabs the back of his head, and tries to knee him. That was a pretty cool setup. So, really good performance from Paulo Costa. Elsewhere on this card, let's go check out UFC 318 again. Let's see. Holloway, Costa, D-Rod just battered up Kevin Holland. Another typical Kevin Holland implosion. Everybody seems to think, moving to 170, he's going to do this or that. No, Kevin Holland just implodes. Patricio Pitbull and Dan Ige. Now, that was an interesting fight. So, a lot of people, they gave Patricio Pitbull a lot of flack for losing to Yair Rodriguez, who we think is actually one of the best fighters in the world. You got to also remember, Patricio Pitbull's 38 years old, so he's well past his prime. But that said, that's not why he had such a hard time against Yair Rodriguez. No, his hard time with Yair Rodriguez stems from the fact that Yair Rodriguez has these long kicks, and he knows how to use them, and he knows how to use them at length. And Dan Ige doesn't really have those same tools to give Patricio Pitbull trouble. So he did he did manage to allow Dan Ige to work, but he also did the better work too. He was battering up. He had Ige backed up and covered up. So he got some wrestling going and the whole 9 yards. So good for him. I was happy he got the win. Michael Johnson managed to get another unanimous decision win over Daniel Zellhuber. And this has been a decent run for Michael Johnson here, guys. I mean, what happened? I think I lost my... There it is. Three fights in a row. Zellhuber's the best win yet. But, he lost to Diego Ferreira back in 23. But since 24, Darius Flowers, Ottoman Azaitar, and now Zellhuber. So, good on him. Zellhuber has lost, I think, 2 straight now. The UFC 300, to Esteban Ribovics, which was or 306. I'm sorry, that was a really good fight. And now, this one 8 months or so later. Brendan Allen and Marvin Vettori, the only other Louisiana guy on the card now, which is weird because you got Kurt Holloway and Macy Chassaw already in the UFC. You could have booked them. Instead, you booked Kurt 2-3 weeks earlier to fight on some fight night. You could have got him in New Orleans and sold a few more tickets, even though they probably sold out. Macy Chassaw could have been there. You could have even gone to ATT D'Iberville and signed somebody like Brandon Davis is there. Cam Teague, who's fighting on the Contender Series, is there. Chase Sherman is there. So you could have gotten somebody out of that gym to kind of sell these tickets. They didn't, I guess, want to. But Brendan Allen is the other Louisiana guy from Covington. And, he defeated Marvin Vettori via unanimous decision. It's weird because I like Brendan Allen, man. And he seems to always just drop the ball, though. He seems to always kind of, lose himself in a fight. And the first round, he had Marvin Vettori in a bad spot, was close to rear naked choking him, and he lets Vettori reverse him. It's what are you doing? It's always at some point Brendan Allen kind of just drops the ball, and it doesn't take you much to get to the top at middleweight, which is not a great division. I'd like to see something like Brendan Allen versus a Paulo Costa or even Roman Kopylov, but you could book those fights, and I don't think Allen will be able to keep it together long enough to make it to the top. And all it's going to take is 2 or 3 fights. Marvin Vettori looked washed, though. He looked bad. Marvin Vettori is not a great fighter. We know he's not a great fighter anymore. His title shot was really predicated on the fact that he gave Israel Adesanya a hard time, and he did get some good wins in his career, but at the same time, it was just kind of one of those things like, okay, I see what was going on here, so yeah, I'm good. But yeah, good win for Brendan Allen. Happy to see another Louisiana guy get a win. Nicolay Veronek beat Francisco Prado. A lot of people were excited about that. Lockdog, skipped over Lockdog beating Kyler Phillips. He beat the brakes off of Kyler Phillips, who the hipsters love. Vinicius Oliveira is really just kind of a killer. Abida Goche defeated Robert Valentin. Really nice knockout. Islam Dulatov defeated Adam Fuggett. Jimmy Crute armbarred Marcin Perak. Now, you can't be losing to Jimmy Crute in our good Lord Savior's year of 2025. Ryan Spahn got a guillotine, which, tribute to Dustin Poirier, shout out, over Lucas Bresky. Bruno Ferreira and Jackson McVeigh. I don't even know who Jackson McVeigh is. Is that like a yeah, he was supposed to fight Ikram. Okay. And then Carly Judas, really nice knee to liver, and then ground strikes over Nicola Kalari. I think Judas is a decent prospect. There's some people that are pretty high on her. 2 straight losses on Contender Series split decision, and then the Gabriela Fernandez. But she's gotten 2 good knockouts in a row so far. Yeah, overall, decent night of fights. I couldn't go, even though, it was in New Orleans, right down the road, an hour from my house. I didn't get to go. Tickets were like $500, and I'm like, yeah, I ain't paying that. That's ridiculous. I am nearly finished, guys, with Fight Finder 7. So if you want to check that out, make sure you follow and subscribe, because that's going to drop, and we're following around an Olympian, Tom Scott, as he competes in the U.S. Karate National Championship. So that'll be fun, and I can't wait for that to drop later this week. We're going to be doing a marathon live stream where I come on and talk in between, kind of about each episode that we've done, and we're going to live stream the episode all into debuting the newest episode. So playlist right here if you want to catch up.